another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. It's season 4, episode number 24. This is a songs edition only. We've got an album review. We've got some music to talk about, upcoming concerts. Summer's coming up. Spring's here. I'm sure you'll enlighten us with some upcoming amphitheater outdoor shows and some
Spring is in the air. Yes.
Spring is in the air. We're at the end of April here with May coming up. It's finally going to be starting to get nice here in the 60s. I'm looking forward to that. It's been kind of blah the last couple of weeks here. So we've got music to focus on today. And let's get started. We've got an album review.
Let's jump right into it.
Let's jump right in. So I'm going to show you the album review here. Here we go. The album is Audioslave, Out of Exile. Out of Exile. There it is. And for those may not be familiar with who Audioslave is or what their connection is, it's basically a super group formed from Rage Against the Machine. They were a thrash, kind of a heavy metal, and Chris Cornell, which was former Soundgarden, and that kind of a deal. So they formed and did that. So that's what Audioslave is. They were known as a supergroup. Now, Out of Exile is the second studio album by American rock supergroup Audioslave, released on May 2005 internationally. It's the band's only album to chart at number 1 on the Billboard 200. The album spawned the singles Be Yourself, Your Time Has Come, Doesn't Remind Me, and Out of Exile. The song Doesn't Remind Me was nominated for Best Hard Rock Performance in the 48th Grammy Awards. So let me get rid of this agenda item here, and then perfect. So the album came out, this was 2005. So in an interview shortly before the release of the album, drummer Brad Wilk, drummer with Rage Against the Machine, says, "The Audioslave, the band has arrived. The first record was people from 2 other bands with history attached. I don't feel that with this record." For his part, Chris Cornell said he wrote his most personal songs ever for this album, influenced by positive changes in his life since 2002. He gave up smoking and drinking, and I don't know if he was a born-again Christian or not, but his life really changed. That's why you see the music here. He's got the short hair back in 2005, the clean-cut look for Chris Cornell rather than the long hair from his grunge days. They also relied less on heavy guitar riffs, and the music was more varied. To promote the album in May earlier that same month, the band traveled to Havana, Cuba, to spend some time interacting with Cuban musicians before playing a concert in the city on May 6th to an audience of 70,000 people. This was a free show, Andy. A free show. Talk about getting some promotion. Now, Audioslave is another one of these bands that is known worldwide. It probably maybe less in the U.S. than they are internationally.
Yeah. Yep.
So they said, hey, let's go to Cuba, do a show, and become the first American rock band ever to perform in that country. Now, at the time, Cornell said he hoped the concert would help open the musical borders between our 2 countries. But they played a 26-song set that made the concert the longest the band had ever played. Many songs on this album were performed live for the first time at the concert. I'm sure the folks and the fans there didn't know what was going on. They never even heard of these songs. The album had not even been released yet, but kind of fun to play those new songs fresh, just kind of get a reaction, the live, immediate reaction from the concert goers. So this concert was held 3 weeks before the release of the album. Now, live in Cuba, you can also get, Andy, as a concert documentary covering the band's time in Cuba. That was released on a DVD in October 2005. I have not seen this.
No.
I'm guessing you haven't either. Probably don't have an interest to, but I may go back and watch this now because it makes a little more sense. So Tom Morello is on guitars. Very talented. I'm not and never have been really a big fan of any work that Tom Morello does. That's just a personal thing. He's very, very talented. But he got together here with Cornell, and very interesting music is on this album. Tim Comerford on the bass, Brad Wilk on drums, Chris Cornell on lead guitars. And so going through this epiphany that Chris Cornell went through.
Let me go back to something you just said there a little bit.
Yes.
You talked about the guitarist today. He's very talented, but he's not someone you listen to. Which, let me explain that to some people when you hear that. The artist Eminem, very talented. I don't like his music. He's not my thing. So you can still think someone's talented and not listen to their music.
Yes.
But I don't think we're talking out of both sides of our mouth. We go, oh, he's talented, but I don't like his music. They're two different things.
Kind of the same thing with where I am with Prince. A lot of respect for the guy. I don't have any albums. I don't like really particularly listening to his music, but he's tremendously gifted man.
Right.
So that's what Morello is. He plays a different style, kind of I wouldn't say industrial, but that whole group, Rage Against the Machine, was very something different, and very much so a band that I never listened to, and we'll probably never hear a review on here. But these guys seem to gel pretty good with Cornell in this Audioslave format with the music, and that's and I own all their stuff. I own all the stuff here that Audioslave has, but once again, got into it later in life as things kind of similar things were happening in my life, and so it's very interesting how we run that same parallel. Now, Cornell. Now, okay, let's see. Let's go with the track listings here. Now, this was certified platinum, Andy. It makes sense. It wasn't, 15 times platinum. It wasn't triple platinum. It also wasn't gold, but it got platinum. It got a lot of airtime. A lot of the commercial stuff of these, the songs in this was commercial stuff or radio friendly, I'll call it. Got a lot of airplay, a lot of radio time. But the other songs are very, very good. I like personally all the songs. Your Time Has Come. His very first song is Your Time Has Come, and he's got some very good lyrics here. All the lyrics are by Cornell, and at this point, many were considering him almost a type of a prophet, some kind of another coming of a second Messiah, if you will, as far as how quickly he got into this whole Christian religion. But one of the lyrics here was, I don't know why you're all dying before your time has come. And basically his lyrics here are saying, I did so many stupid, horrendously stupid things in my youth, and here I am still alive getting a second chance. While others of musical talents, very talented people are historically known as dying very young. And so it goes into that. But he also goes on to talk about the 58,000 names engraved on stone at the Veterans Vietnam War Veteran Memorial in Washington, D.C., where he can't get the fact over get his arms around the fact that 58,000 people died and are on that thing, on that inscription. Very powerful stuff. When you have a friend or two die that are close to you that takes an impact on your life, going to visit that with 58,000 names really, really woke him up. Next song is Out of Exile. That's the name of the album. Reminds me of he gets here to essentially, I think of Moses leading the Israelites out of exiles, where you hear that phrase a lot of. This song is called Out of Exile. It talks here about his take me home, send my soul away, take me home. Kind of just hoping to finish up here this life on earth. Cannot wait to get to heaven. Be Yourself, song number 3. This was very popular. Talking about you don't need to impress anyone. You do not need, your job in life is not to be someone that you're not. Be yourself. That's it. People like you. People will not like you. Who cares? Be yourself. That's a very Chris Cornell thing. Doesn't remind me of a song. Doesn't remind me of all things that basically he's talking about things. There's a line of the quote here in the lyric that says, I don't want to learn what I'll need to learn, what I'll need to forget one day. I don't want to need to learn what I'm going to need to forget one day. Interesting stuff. Drown Me Slowly. Drown Me Slowly is another thing talking about basically walking on water. I can't do it yet, he says, talking similar to being in Jesus' shoes, walk on water, or the disciple on the boat. Here, walk to me on the water. Nope, can't do it. I'm going to slowly die, slowly drown because my faith isn't there. He said, that's fine. Drown me slowly. I can't walk on walk on water yet, but soon, one day I plan to be able to get to that level of faith. Heaven's Dead. Song Heaven's Dead is talking about when you're sad, heaven's dead. It seems like even though he's basically born again, going through this new coming out and reliving his life, starting fresh. He reminds the listeners that, boy, when times are tough and you think about your past and you're down and you get sad, heaven seems dead to you. It seems like such a stretch to be able to ever get there. Song 7, The Worm. I had a tough time with this one because the worm is never mentioned in the song. But the worm is, I think, talking about something about himself, meaning that he was a dirty, disgusting creature living on the earth in the past, from his past. A lot of self-hate in this song. But he talks about how happy he is now because he's got a halo attached to his head, basically a halo above his head, whereas I am now complete. I don't worry about those things because of my halo. Basically talking as if basically he's an angel in this, and he can shove his past life behind him. This is a guy that went through a lot of troubles in his past life and just, I wouldn't say therapy, but trying to figure himself out. Song 8 is called Man or Animal. Nothing to do with Christianity. It's basically about dating a woman who wants different things each night in the bedroom, if you will. And what does he want to be tonight, a man or an animal? This I would call, Andy, more of a love song.
All right.
A very good love song, but wild stuff. Yesterday to Tomorrow, the next song, song 9, Yesterday to Tomorrow, is kind of talking about how fast life moves when you're in love. You go from yesterday, you jump to tomorrow. You don't even think about today or the present. Kind of how perfect things are. Song 10, Dandelion, the song Dandelion. Now, here in Minnesota, Andy, we're used to dandelions, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He kind of goes into, Chris Cornell goes into creation as a whole, on everything is so pristine and perfect on this earth. Even something as small as a dandelion is beautiful in the big picture. Song 11 is number 1, Zero. Song 12 is The Curse. So kind of going through all his ups and downs, it's all lyrics are all him, all very personal. The music is all Rage Against the Machine. And they melded it to make it all work, but this is really, you could almost call it a Chris Cornell solo album. And he got 3 guys to be the studio musicians with him. As this is very different. It grows on you. The album grows on you. It's 53 minutes long, Andy. 53 minutes, 38 seconds, and it's called Hard Rock, Alternative Metal, and Alternative Rock. That's all.
With the exception of the Man and Album or Man and Animal song, would you say this would be safe to play for Pastor?
Every single song on this, you know what?
Even the Man and Animal song?
Other than that song, I would say that this would be classified as Christian rock. Now,
Okay.
reviewers of this, I've read some reviews, and for the people who don't follow this, or the people who don't understand, or the reviewers writing here from New York, or the big names in Hollywood, album reviews, they say the lyrics are just goofy. They can't figure them out. They don't know what the hell he's talking about. That's what I read a lot about into. If you get where he's coming from and you get the lyrics, these songs will all make very perfect sense I would call this a Christian album, Christian rock.
With the one song exception.
Yep, he had one love song thrown in there, and they kind of let everyone loose. Their, all the band players. The best guitar riff, I think, is that. The best drum solo is that song "Man or Animal," and so maybe they just threw that in there. But the rest are very deeply personal Christian lyric songs. What are your thoughts, Andy? I know you're not a Cornell fan. I know you're not an Audioslave fan, but what are your thoughts on an album like this?
Well, like we talked about in our pre-show production meeting, basically this is a Rage Against the Machine album with a different singer.
Yep.
That'd be like if Van Halen would have changed names when Sammy Hagar came in. Or if AC/DC would have changed names when Brian Johnson came in.
Called themselves a supergroup with a new name.
Right. So I think that kind of, in a way, hurt them to start with.
Yeah.
Because people were like, oh, no, it's going to be Cornell. It's going to be all Soundgarden sounding. Or it's going to be all this. Or it's going to be a mix. And I don't like that one band. I'm not going to listen to half an album that I like.
It's all preconceived notions, right?
Which I totally understand on it, too.
Yep.
Funny, I was looking at history stuff beforehand. You talk about this album, how it's kind of the combined. This week is the anniversary of when Van Halen's 5150 came out.
Oh.
The first album with Sammy Hagar on it. And it, boom, straight to number 1. So, works for some bands, like it did here, or Van Halen, doesn't work with others. To me, if you played me a song off this album right now, I'd have no idea what it is.
Yep.
Not my.
You may know the popular ones, but the general ones, I don't
Yep.
think most people do.
And kind of going back without getting into it, you said the songs when this came out, where you were in your life, were striking a nerve with you, where you could kind of relate.
Oh yes, yes.
I was this brand of music at that point in my life was not on my radar.
Yep.
I had like a 2-3 year period there where music was just a blur to me. I had other things going on. That was it was worse than my country music days. It was just bad time of my life. So
if you look at the album in the background on that album cover, I guess what they're getting at here is the stormy clouds ahead over what I would call it, maybe troubled waters. A lot of these, Cornell suffered from all these guys that were dying and overdosing in drugs back in the Seattle days. And now he got away from all that. And so I think that's what he's alluding to here, because I think this album cover relates to what he wanted to be on the album: the troubled water, the storms brewing.
And I also know some stuff from the guys from Rage Against the Machine are, and again, this isn't a bad thing. This is a title for them. A couple of them are real big conspiracy theorists. So I didn't know when I knew that. And Cornell coming in, I thought, oh my God, what's this going to be? How are these guys can they separate personal lives to make an album? Or personal thoughts to make an album, And obviously they did. They said, we'll do music, you do lyrics, and it worked out.
Yeah, and I don't know if they planned on just doing the one. I don't know if they planned on, if they got a record deal to say, hey, we're going to make 3 albums. They ended up making 3. They just did the 3 albums. This is number 2. Many consider this the best. I like all 3 of them the same, but in my mind, they all kind of sound the same. But I'm a Cornell fan, so
it was like a 3-album set then to you, because it was all the same sound.
Yep, they're all to me, I can't tell them apart. I couldn't tell you what song. I didn't listen to them as they came out. I didn't go to the record store when the album was dropped that day, on Tuesday. I didn't do that. I picked all these things up later in life.
You were late to the party, as they say.
Oh, and I was never a grunge fan at all until later. And then I got into knowing these guys at a personal level as far as their background and their history.
Yep.
And then became a Cornell fan, therefore came to this. But powerful stuff. All right. Do you have, here we go.
Let's go to my stuff here. Let me get my clicker here. Audioslave, and like I said, I got nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
I've heard their stuff. I agree with what you said. Talented musicians. I just never my thing. I probably, like I said, heard them in the past. Got no thumb up or thumb down on them. Just throw in the background. I'll listen. If not, whatever.
Yep.
Let's get into some concerts, though. Don't forget, you can find Mike down at the Ridgemont Mall.
Mike, yes.
He's got your tickets for you. Alter Bridge announced a 2023 tour with Seven Dust and Mammoth WVH. And here they are. This is towards the end of their tour, too, right now in August. Fargo, North Dakota, August 28th. At the Fillmore in Minneapolis, the 29th.
Nice.
And Council Bluffs down in Iowa.
Council Bluffs. That's a lot of music fans down there, right?
Alter Bridge. Here's my thing on Alter Bridge. Miles Kennedy is the lead singer there. I've mentioned Miles Kennedy's name before. I'm a big Miles guy. If you go, that name sounds familiar, Andy. Yes, because if you listen to Slash's solo stuff, Miles Kennedy is the lead singer.
Okay.
So Miles is around, very good. It's your homework. Look up Miles Kennedy. Look up Miles Kennedy.
All right. You mentioned him before.
Yep.
I don't have anything from him, and I don't think I've listened to anything from him, but that'll be the homework. I'm going to jot that down for
the official homework right now. I don't have the screen for it because Kevin, the intern, fell asleep on that, but
okay, we'll get our staff on that. But I will do some research on that.
Alter Bridge, Miles Kennedy, Miles, Myles, Miles.
Oh, yes.
Or Slash's solo stuff, Slash with Miles Kennedy and the conspirators. Here's another one. Now, you look at some of these bands here coming up. Let me take my glasses off here so I can read this a little better. Casservaller is playing with Dirty Sexy Riot and the Rebel Queens. They'll be playing in St. Paul at the Amsterdam Bar and Grill. $10 advance, 15 at the door.
Now,
18
Rebel
plus show.
Queens. Yeah, we've talked about Rebel Queens before,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yep. So this should be a 18 plus show. A lot of it, you look at some of the bands there, it's not safe for pastor. All right, we'll just leave it at that. Down in Wabasha Street in North St. Paul.
Awesome.
Main Minneapolis and Darkest Hour, May 5th. A Cinco de Mayo concert, Cinco de Maiden concert, May 5th. We'll be playing. You got to check them out. Look for them on their social media pages. Big concerts coming up there for them.
Yeah, very highly recommended.
Yep. $10 cover only. Starts at 9 p.m., so get a nap in.
Yep.
Pearl Jam. New album coming out August 31st and September 2nd at the X. So watch for that. That's your thing. Pearl Jam is your jam.
Yes.
Sebastian Bach of the Skid Row will be playing a charity concert up in the North Dakota again there at the Event Center Saturday, May 6th. If you look at look it up, the Fox 107.9 in Fargo. It's a benefit concert. So look it up. Sebastian Bach can still hit those notes and still has that great long hair. Right. Here we go. Aerosmith is announcing a 40-plus date U.S. tour within the next 2 weeks. There's, of course, no dates out yet. 40 dates.
So all they can probably hit, at this age, these older groups should be settling into this 40-date deal. I think that's good. Rather than these, we talked about in the 80s when they were running 80-date cities, 90-city tours.
So they're just going to take their time to do it right. And I'm taking a guess here. If they come locally, I don't know if they play the X or if they're going to get cocky and go for US Bank Stadium, depending who they get for an opener and everything else. Not sure.
They would be now if they played in the summer or the fall. They may want to do a TCF Bank outdoor event.
Yep,
I can see that.
And remember, people who show you new music are important.
Yes.
New music coming from the Foo Fighters. Their 11th studio album will arrive June 2nd. It's their first record since Tyler's passing. So watch for that. Watch for the tributes on it in the liner notes, if you will. I'm pretty sure Tyler was on all the record. They just hadn't put it together yet before he passed, if I recall.
Okay.
So it's all together. Here it is. Lead single Rescued coming out, but new album. Here we are to June number 2.
Okay.
We do midweek shows here, and speaking of the Aerosmith concert a little bit ago, here's mine I did last week. Bonus episode, When You're Too Old to Rock and Roll. Aerosmith's going to do it right. Do a summer tour, 40 dates, done. Not every date in a big arena all the time at 73 years old in full metal attire and face paint and heat and fire and
it's too much.
So check that out on YouTube. Check out on our page, also on the Instagram. Give it a listen. Little 8-minute video. Share your opinions. And Freddie Mercury had a quote, which we're in now. Sadly, he had this quote back in the day. He was such a visionary. We're in the golden age of music. This, of course, being back in the 80s. There will be a time when technology becomes so advanced that we rely on them to make music rather than raw talent. Music will lose its soul. Freddie was a very wise man.
He was another one considered to be a prophet-like guy.
Yeah,
just quotes. Great. He was a thinker.
His songs at the end when he knew he was dying, like those were the days of our lives. I'll tell you right now, I cry when I hear that. He was just so spot on stuff. Freddie, he the man. That's what I got. Just a couple of things I said. Check out Medina Entertainment Center, and this time of year now, start checking your local bars for your small town bands playing there, your local favorites.
Yeah, the
And
outdoors, the outdoor bands will, the pavilions and the amphitheaters will start
the
cranking out
patio out at Floyd's or the patio at the other
Pounders.
places, knuckleheads, pounders. Yeah, they'll start having concerts out there. When I say concerts, bands out there. It's still a
Just
concert.
live music outdoor on the
Yeah, live
patio.
music
Doesn't get
outdoors.
much better.
You check that out if you've been at a ball game all day, the way God intended it.
It is. It's awesome. All right, that's all I've got. So we'll see you next week on another music. We'll be in the month of May next time you see us on the
That's
music side.
right.
All
Talk to
right,
you
have a
later.
good week.
Bye.
See you.